Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar today, EV Charging Management and Multi-Unit Dwellings. We're very excited to have you with us. My name is Aileen, and I'm the Marketing Manager at EV Meter, and leading this webinar with me today is Mr. Inon Raviv, VP Global Sales and Business Development, waving his hands, and Owen Katav, Product Marketing Manager here at EV Meter. And why have we all gathered here today? So there's no denying that electric vehicles are becoming more and more mainstream every single year. And the European Union is really advancing this and leading the world to this green mobility transition. But with every mass change, there come challenges along the way. And today we're going to be focusing on the challenges for installing and managing EV charging stations in multifamily residences, as well as introducing you to Hive, a robust management platform, and its unique way to solve these challenges in a pragmatic and simple way for everyone in the building. To tell you a little bit about EV Meter is a daughter company of Nayax. Nayax is a publicly traded fintech company. It's a global leader in payment solutions for unattended retail. So EV Meter was founded under the Nayax umbrella in 2015. And just to give you a little background, we're a one-stop shop. We have smart and connected EV charging stations, as well as a management platform and a lot of payment, billing, and clearing services that we offer to our clients in over 30 countries. We also have offices in over 8 countries. So daughter company of Nayax with really an end-to-end solution for EV charging. And now that I've told you a little bit about ourselves, I would love to hear from you where you're joining us from in the world. So if you can just take a minute to scan the barcode with your phone and share with us where you're joining us from. We're going to open up the results and see all the different locations that you're joining us from today. Nice. Wow, it's amazing to see so many of you joining from different areas around the world, and to see that there really is a need for the solution in different countries, and that this is a growing market all over. Wow. So we have England, Italy, France, Dubai. Amazing. So welcome, everybody. It's great to have you with us. Let's give a few more minutes to anyone else who wants to fill in where they're joining. And I'm going to hand it over. Oren, please share with us what's going on really with the EV market. What are the trends and projections for the Europe and the UK in the coming years? What are we expecting?
Yeah, absolutely. And good afternoon, everyone. First of all, it's great having so many people from so many different countries with us today. So before we start talking about the multi-unit dwellings and the challenges, I would like to go through some of the important EV market decisions in Europe and the UK. So many countries encourage the civilians to move to electric vehicles as part of the green revolution. Some of them even offer incentives and tax rebates. We can see and feel the high temperatures all over Europe and the UK in the past few weeks. So the air pollution and global warming have an impact on all of us. Having said that, the European Union decided to end sales of internal combustion engine vehicles by 2035. Moreover, the European Union is aiming to have at least 30 million zero-emission vehicles on its road by 2030. So there are actual decisions that will impact transportation in the future. So we spoke a little bit about the EV market. Let's look at the EV charging. So today there are more than 150,000 public charge points installed all over Europe. We can see different research predict there will be 2.9 million public charging stations by 2030. I could see we have many people from the UK with us today, so probably you should know that there are over 42,000 public charge points across the UK today. And by the way, UK, same as many other countries, has developed a road to zero strategy, aimed to making transportation in the four nations for England, Scotland, Wales, and the Northern Ireland carbon neutral by 2030. So these decisions from the European Union and the UK are part of the general world planning to achieve a net zero target by 2050.
Wow, and it's great to see that all these countries are taking strides to increase EV adoption. I'm actually considering, my lease is ending soon, and I'm considering buying an electric vehicle myself. I live on the 8th floor of an apartment building, so where would most of my charging be taking place?
Well, Aylan, first of all, it's good to know that you're going to purchase an EV charging EV vehicle. The EV charging station can be installed in any location with a parking to reduce, first of all, the driver range anxiety. However, most people are charging their cars at home. Since you live in an apartment building, there are important things you should know and need to take into consideration. This brings me to the charging stations and locations. All these charging stations should be installed in a residential properties, in a public environment, even in a camping park when you are having a barbecue. It can be installed in a private apartments, in a multi-unit dwellings, in a public or semi-public environments, so the driver can charge on the go. Of course, and we know it, that the challenges are quite different when you install it in an apartment building or in a public environment. But still, you know, the major problem is that the increased demand for EV charging requires more electricity, almost everywhere. And there is not enough electricity to activate and operate all these charging stations. But today, we want to focus on apartment buildings. That's the reason we are here. And by looking at apartment buildings, we can see different challenges that the residence committees, the property managers, operators, and even the tenants are facing. Let's review a building located in 3 Caen Court in London, UK, and understand the general challenges they are facing. First, not suitable electricity infrastructure. The current electricity infrastructure serves the home consumption and the building operation, such as the pumps, the elevator, and the lighting. Second, tenants' concerns about uneven electrical expenses. The tenant wants to ensure that he's paying for his consumption only. And due to these concerns, sometimes we can get some resistance from the housing committees and from other tenants. And finally, we can talk about the parking lot. The parking lot can be located inside the building or outside the building. In our case, with this 3 Caen Court in London building, you can see that it's located outside, what means there will be a need to pull more cables and quarry in the ground to connect each and one of the charge points. But the good news are that all these challenges are solvable and installation in multi-unit dwellings have already begun.
So it seems that installing EV charging stations and multi-unit dwellings is more complex and not as straightforward as I thought. Inon, would you mind sharing with us, diving a little deeper into these challenges and what solutions are available today?
Yes, of course. Thank you, both Elaine and Oren. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So basically, Oren was kind of high level mentioning some of the challenges. Let's try and deep dive. So the first thing we will encounter when with the first challenge would be, as Oren said, there is not enough electricity. Basically, there is not enough electricity in the world today for the needs of the population. So adding to that, millions of potentially electric vehicles will make things worse, and we're unable to keep up with speed. So in order to solve that, we developed a dedicated smart energy and load balancing system. In a nutshell, basically, and I'm saying in a nutshell because we'll deep dive later to the whole solution, it means that we check what is the available electricity coming from the grid, how much electricity we have on the electric board of the building, how many vehicles are connected in real time, and balancing between the two of them to make sure that the neighbor is not stuck in the elevator and the cars are getting charged by the time you leave in the morning. This leads us to the second challenge that we face. There are limitations on monitoring the electricity and the use of the EV charging. So basically, it creates a challenge of how we're monitoring the station itself. So basically a charge station talks a lot with the management platforms, and we need to understand what is going on. So we developed a scalable and flexible solution to track the system remotely and to make sure that we are able to monitor each of the tenants' consumption in every given moment. The next challenge we will face is basically how do we do billing for each of those tenants? Because when we are living in a building and we're connecting to the main electric board of the building, it raises a question, if I have an EV and my neighbor doesn't have an EV, why should he pay on the electricity that I'm using for my own private car? So we developed, first of all, our chargers has an embedded meter inside, which allows us to measure the exact consumption. And as part of the NIAX group, as Elen mentioned in the beginning, a global leader in the fintech industry, we are able to do billing and clearing in over 80 countries worldwide with over 60 financial institutions, and do the billing for each and every tenant by his actual consumption. The next challenge we will be facing is the ability or the needs to manage those chargers. When we have in the beginning maybe one or two chargers in each of the building, it may not be such a big problem. But when we're going forward down the road and may have dozens of chargers within one parking spot, we need to be able to manage it and make sure that it works in an holistic way. So our management platform allows us to, or allows actually the operator itself, which manage the building, to make sure that he has the right reports, alerts, and many other things, which we will talk about later in this webinar. Now, the last thing we need to consider when talking about multi-dwelling unit charging is the security. When I live in a private home, usually I see my garage from my window in my living room. So there isn't a big chance that someone will come into my parking space and connect his car and basically use my electricity. But when I live in a building, and I actually live in a building on the 3rd floor, my car is parked on -1 in the parking lot. I don't see my car, I don't see my charger. Anyone can basically connect to it. In EVmeter, we developed a dedicated mobile app that authenticate and make sure that only the owner of the charging station can use it in order to charge his car. And if anyone else tries to connect, it will just not get any juice from the grid. So before we continue and dive into each of the different components of the EVmeter solution, I want to give you kind of a highlight on what we do. So we have our management platform, the Hive, which allows us to manage every aspect of the charging, from the telemetric of the charger itself, meaning if it's getting warmer or if there is any issue with connectivity, through the actual consumption, the billing, the tariff, and many other aspects. The second part of it is the dynamic load management, which, as I mentioned earlier, allows us to manage the balancing between the available electricity to the actual consumed electricity. And the last part of it is the charging station itself, which comes with a dedicated meter and a mobile app to manage and control it. So, Oren, would you like to dive deep a little bit into our Hive and explain a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Inon, for describing all these challenges and our unique solutions. So in one word, Hive. Hive, as Inon just mentioned, it's a cloud-based management platform that helps you to manage, to control, to optimize, and even to maintain your apartment building and the grid stability. Hive capabilities and the services provide solutions in many key areas. We have the operations management, just Inon mentioned a minute ago, our bill and clearing solution, our unique DLM system coming with the energy management system, our driver services and analytics and reports, and we get a deep dive into each and one of these models and solutions. So first, let's have a look at the high-level Hive architecture. Everything starts with the main board. In our apartment building, the main board is very important. All the charge points in the building are directly connected to the main board and the main circuit breaker. We can see EV meter charge points here, but Hive can host any AC or even DC charging station. Hive is supporting the OCPP protocol to communicate between the charge point and the management platform, as you can see here. Then on the right, we can see all the key areas that Hive is managing and providing the different solutions. Operation management, the ability for you as an operator to build up your network, to view a map of all your charging stations, including the statuses. The analytics and reports, as an operator or property manager, you can create and generate different type of reports, very friendly reports, everything that you will get all the information that you need. Driver services, everything comes with us with a white labeled mobile app, and we provide all these white label projects together with our different operators. So the driver will get a dedicated home app and all other things that will provide him some other services that I will talk later on. The dynamic load management that later on, of course, we'll hear with more details. And of course, what Inoon mentioned about the billing and clearing, the complete billing and clearing solutions that actually secure and pre-authorized transactions to enable different tariffs and payment plans. I think that Eileen pointed in the beginning, we are part of NIAX, so we are considered as a merchant of record. EV meter is authorized and held liable for 60 financial institutes to process a consumer credit and debit card transactions. So let's see, I just talk about the operation management and the view and everything that the property manager or the operator can see. Let's see what is available for us in the Hive dashboard. The Hive dashboard, it's the main page. It's available, of course, for the operator or for the property manager. It can be configured by the operator to present all the relevant data. This main dashboard can display different data about your charging network. You can view, as you can see here on the screen, you can see a visual map, display all the charge points, including their statuses. You can view the total revenue in a time period. You can even track the average transactions per charge point in a time period. Of course, all the energy information, the energy consumption, how much kilowatt hour is consumed from your network in a different time period. For operator, it's very important information. And these things can be used for the operator to track his network 24/7. Another thing that is very important, of course, is the tariff configuration. Tariff is very important and must be defined by the operator. Of course, Hive is very flexible. It enables tariff packages and different plans. If you're an operator, you can define any dynamic tariff in Hive. For example, you can define your tariff based on two parameters. We have the fixed monthly payment that the operator can take and the payment per unit of energy that the driver is consuming. Let's go back to our apartment building at 3 Cannon Court in London. Here, the energy provider, and this is in our example, it's Octopus Energy, they offer special rates for EV drivers. So what you see on the screen is different rates during the day and overnight. 7.5 penny rate over the night, 39.34 during the day. And all this information is something that can become built in Hive. So everything is dynamic, and as an operator, you'll get a dynamic tariff. Another thing that I have just spoke previously about the analytics and reports. We saw the visual maps by using the dashboard, but to help the operator track his charging network, we added a predefined dynamic charge point status report, so it can present all the information needed. The operator can present any attributes like the charge point ID, the energy consumption, the stop charging, and of course the charge point status and many other attributes. We have a design for the operator that everything can be done in an easy way, an intuitive way to define any type of report. And by the way, this screen that you can see in the top and it's something that we just took from our real system. So we just had to hide marked in red all the operator details, just not to expose the private details. One important thing is what you can see in pink, and this is very important. This is a column, this is an attribute that presents the communication level. You can always track the communication between your charge point and the management platform Hive. So very important, in case you find that the communication is not so good, you can take some processes and improve this communication. Another valuable report is the general energy consumption. You can easily track the energy consumption per charge point. You can get the full meter value data, including all the data, okay, including the date and the charging hour, the energy consumption, the power, the voltage, the current, everything. And one thing that is very, very, very important for the operator is to understand in what time period you get all the information. The operator can configure this time interval for sending all the energy meter, okay, in a time period. So you can send the energy meter from the charge point to the Hive server. System admin alerts and events. As an operator or property manager, you want to ensure that you know everything about your charge points. So we provide the ability to generate reports for different alerts and events. We have over 60 automatic system alerts and events in the system. And once you want to decide to generate a report, you can do it directly through Hive, or as an operator, you can even control and configure the events will be sent to your mobile phone. You can just select a critical events and alerts and ensure that you push everything into your mobile phone and track your network 24/7. So we spoke about the operator side. What is there in Hive for the driver? A private driver account can be defined in the system by the driver himself. We have a dedicated web platform for the driver, a very friendly platform where the driver can easily create his account and fill in all his details and private details. The same account will be used for the driver in both the public environments and for all his own charge points in the building. All the details that this driver or tenant will add, everything is stored in a secure place and secure environment. And by the way, on the screen, you can see the operator view, where the operator can view and track all his registered drivers. So as an information, both the driver can do this action to generate and activate his accounts, and the operator can track all his registered drivers. Continuing with the EV driver, our dedicated home app. As a tenant, I would like to control my charging station. As a tenant, you can use the home app. You can start and stop the charging. You can get the energy data. You can even schedule your charging. If, for example, you want to connect, to plug in your charge point and your vehicle, you can leave it there and schedule your charging over the night. And this is first to save money. As a driver, you can also track your charging history. See when was your last charging and what were all your charging in the past month, for example. Automatic invoice, this is something we send automatically on a monthly basis. Currently, it can be sent at the beginning of the month. Very, very soon, you will be able, as a tenant, to select the day you want to be charged. So each tenant will get an automated e-receipt for his own charge points.
Wow, so it seems like Hive really is a comprehensive suite that addresses all the challenges, both from the EV driver's perspective, from the property managers. You're able to track exactly how much each tenant is, how much electricity consumption each tenant is using, and they can be charged automatically. So very fascinating solution, but there's one major component that's crucial for EV charging in multifamily units, and that's smart charging and dynamic load management, because essentially when we're going to have tens and hundreds of EV chargers installed in these buildings, the most important thing is balancing the energy. So, could you explain a little bit what dynamic load management is and how it works?
Yes, absolutely. As we mentioned earlier, basically there is not enough electricity. And even if we get the electric company to come and kind of enlarge the electricity that the building is getting, it's gonna be suitable for, I don't know, 5, 10 vehicles, but what happens, as I mentioned, when we're gonna have dozens of them, it's not gonna be enough. So the dynamic load management come to answer exactly for that part. It's basically a unique solution that measure the available electricity that we have on the electric board, and in real time, how many vehicles are actually connected. Well, not only connected, but actually taking electricity, because it might be that my car is connected, but it's already fully charged, so it doesn't really take electricity. So we actually check in real time which car actually takes electricity from the charging station. And then we're balancing between the two of them to actually present the maximum availability for each vehicle to get ready when we leave in the morning, so the car is full. So, Oren, thank you. So let's go back to our example of 3 Cayenne Court in London, and let's take an example of 3 tenants for a demonstration of how the DLM or the dynamic load management work. So let's say that our main board, electric board in the building, has 80 ampere available. The rest of it is used for the elevators and the pump and the lighting and some other, let's call them consumers that are using the electricity. Now, we don't want to be in a position where we actually put in risk or to make a failure of one of the other consumer. So we're going to keep a buffer, and let's, for the sake of the example, let's make it 30 ampere. So we have available 50 ampere for the charging. Now, it's for both 1 phase or 3 phase, it doesn't really matter. For the sake of the example, let's assume that it's just 1 phase, but it works all the same when we're connected with 3 phases. We're just going to have 50 ampere for each phase. So let's assume that I got home at 6 p.m. and I want to connect my car. So my the first thing, the system will give me 6 ampere. I don't know if you know, but below 6 ampere, it's not considered charging. And this is the minimum ampere level that the vehicle needs in order to be charged. So the system is giving me 6 ampere, and then it's everything is happening in a millisecond, of course, but then it thinks, oh, I have much more to give. So it raises up to 32 ampere and goes like that, assuming, of course, the vehicle can receive 32 ampere. In that image, we have basically a Tesla, and as some of you may know that the Tesla can actually receive only 16 ampere. But for the sake of the discussion, let's assume it gets the full 32 ampere. Now, at 6:30, Oren is joining, and you want to connect his car, so the system automatically gives him again 6 ampere. But then it says, okay, I gave 32 to Inon, I'm giving 6 to Oren, it's 38, I have more to give. But instead of just giving 18 ampere to Oren, what it will actually do, it will take the 50 ampere, divide it by equally by the 2 vehicles, and give each 25 ampere. Now, Eileen is joining. Let's assume we fast forward time and she actually bought her new EV. And Eileen is joining at 7 p.m. And we want to give her 6 ampere, but we don't have actually 6 ampere. Remember, we had only 50 ampere. So what happened is the system recognized that Eileen is trying to charge her vehicle, and then the system divides again the 50 ampere by 3. Each vehicle will get just over 16 ampere, and will continue the charging. Another last thing is that it works the same way backwards, meaning that once the vehicle is either completed the charging or disconnected, the system again will reevaluate the available electricity, and then will put the different amount of ampere between the vehicles that are actually charging. Eileen, you want to share a little bit with how to contact with us and how we go from here?
Of course. So we're already working with different partners around the world to enable them to implement EV charging stations in a smart and efficient way through all the solutions that we've just reviewed with you. We'd love to work with you as well. And you, of course, you can see some of our partners here. A lot of them are in Europe. We have in the United States. And if you have any questions as well, we would love to leave some time for QA. You could have left questions, forgot to mention also throughout. I see we had one question actually during the session. What considerations have you made regarding private wire supply and setup and resale restrictions as dictated by legislation? Do you see this question, Ina?
Yeah, I will take that this one. So first of all our chargers are being certified according to some of the certification are globally, some of them are per territory. In each territory or country that we work in, we comply with the local and global legislation and certification to make sure that our partner can work in the territory and do the right work. So that's the first thing. In terms of wiring, etc., when an operator comes to a building, he will do kind of an examination of what is happening in the building, meaning what is the available electricity in the electric board, how many charging stations does he need to install now, does he need to talk to the electric company in order to enlarge the connection of electricity, and a lot of other things that like firing, what happens in fire, and how we extinguish that. So there is a process, and we escort our partner through the whole process in order to make sure that they provide the best service and product to the end user, which is the EV driver and the building itself, that want to sleep quietly at night and make sure that everything works as it should.
I see a few more questions came in. The first one is, do you work with any hardware provider?
Yes, basically, sorry, Oren, I'm going to take that one. You're going to take the next.
All yours.
Oren mentioned the Hive, our backend platform is an OCPP platform. OCPP stands for Open Charge Point Protocol. It's the protocol that connects a charge point to a platform. We can manage any hardware that supports OCPP. As Oren mentioned, whether it's an AC charger or a DC charger for public location event. So the answer is yes.
Great. Do you want to read the next question and answer it?
Let's see, what is the question?
Is the load management system able to monitor the incoming supply and react to other loads on site?
Well, if we'll take a look at the load management, then the answer is yes. We can do the balancing. We can do the balancing and consider the electricity and the full current from the main board. So it means that we have a different charge points in the building, and our management system can connect and get the communication directly with the grid, and then do the balancing. We have an internal meters, so we can track any consumption, okay, from each charge point and do the balancing. So the answer is yes.
I think, Oren, what Matthew had referred to is actually the ability to measure in real time the electricity on the board. So I'll elaborate on that a little bit. So unlike the example I just showed on the dynamic load management, where we determine what is the buffer that we take and how much allocation we give to the charging in the parking spot, we also have an option to connect a dedicated component to the electric board. This component measures in real time what is the actual available electricity within the building, and then play or balance between the active charger. the example I gave earlier doesn't require an additional hardware, an additional component, while the question that Matthew asked requires actually both an additional component to be installed on the electric board, as well as a central unit that is connected to the board and to each of the charging station to manage this in real time. We actually have both solutions and available, but I think this is what Matthew was asking, which is a little bit different than what we showed here today as an example.
Great. Then our next question is there any limit to the amount of chargers that may be installed?
No. Well, there is a limitation, you know, if there is, I don't know, 50 ampere and you want to connect 100 charger, you have a problem. You're not going, no matter what, you're not going to have enough electricity. But in terms of the management platform, it's already managing thousands and thousands of chargers, and in a dedicated location, it's spending the available electricity, etc. But there is no limitation on what we can manage in that notion.
I think that once the building work directly with the energy provider and increase the amount of current can be consumed, then it will be the first step, because from our side, we don't have any limitation with how many cars can be simultaneously charged. But as Inoon mentioned, once the current will be increased, then things will be much better for the building.
And it also relates to the next question, which is what is the maximum number of chargers that can load share together, which is basically depends on the availability of the circuit breaker.
Exactly.
And then our next one is, can you white label the Hive platform?
The Hive is meant to be used by the CPO, which is the charge point operator or the property management company, which in that case would be the CPO if they decide to operate. So the Hive itself is not something that is visible for the driver or the end user. When we start the onboarding process with the new operator, then we add their logo to the Hive and everything. I think the more interesting is the other side of the Hive, which is the public application, which can be white labeled for the operator, if that's Stuart what you meant. Now I see that you have another question about who's paying, etc. So who is paying what? It's kind of the tenant is paying for the electricity, and there are different business models of how an operator works within an apartment building. You need to consider the investment that needs to be done in the infrastructure level, meaning to enlarge the available electricity, etc. But in the end of the day, as I said, there are different business models, and what we see commonly is that an operator sign a long-term agreement with the building and then they're taking upon themselves the investment of enlarging the electricity and the infrastructure, etc. And then they set a price for both the charger, the installation of each individual charger, and of course the price for the electricity, which probably will be more expensive or a little bit higher than what the electricity company is charging the operator, because yes, they need to earn, otherwise it's not going to be economic. And we are supporting this whole process and allowing them to do each and every step, including doing the billing of the actual tenant for the actual consumption, and then of course reimburse the building for the consumption of electricity that used.
Our next question is, what is the average monthly fixed cost, not considering the energy consumption?
So the average service cost is depending on the activated unit. It ranges between, let's say, around €8 a month to 12, 13. The more activated unit an operator has, it gets a different pricing altogether. In general, I'm welcoming you to contact us, and then we'll connect you with our local partner, or someone from our team will get back to you with all relevant information, including pricing, data sheets, and any additional information you might need.
Amazing. So you have, maybe we can just go one slide back. Also, you'll be receiving a recording of this webinar, and you should have a few emails from us by now. So you have our emails. We would be happy to answer any other questions. Happy to set up a meeting, give you more information, either ourselves or direct you through one of our local partners in your region. So I think that covers the topic, the webinar for today. Again, thank you for taking the time this afternoon for joining us. We hope that you got some insightful information and feel more confident about installing charging stations in your building. And again, if you have any more questions, we're here to help and to offer our services.